So nearly everyone has heard the term the cloud, but what is the cloud? How do you get into the cloud and how do you build a career based upon cloud computing? Well, in this three-part series, I actually interviewed the host of the Big Bald Azure Guy. Yes, I interviewed Corey Knapp. Tell us everything you need to know about the cloud. And we're going to start after this. Thank you again for taking the time to join us today. And, would you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name's Corey Knapp. A lot of people know me as the Big Bald Azure Guy for obvious reasons. Been doing this about almost 25 years now. Started off government sector and then worked in the private sector for a while. And then, like most of us, I started off as an exchange guy, help desk, system admin, exchange. I spent probably a decade working with exchange and then eventually O365. And I kind of got burned out. So I said, let me try this whole training thing. And I ended up working for Linux Academy, who got purchased by A Cloud Guru, produced a couple of courses on PowerShell, Azure Essentials, fundamentals, things like that. And then I moved on from them after the A Cloud Guru purchase, which I wish them nothing but the best. They've since been purchased by Pluralsight. So they're doing real well, the Cronenberg brothers over there. But so I went to work with Mike Pfeiffer over at Cloud Skills IO, him, Tim Warner, a couple of the guys. And I taught a couple live boot camps. Microsoft certified trainer as well. I've got a bunch of Azure certifications, and I've been private sector mostly the past 2-3 years. I worked for a company called Nudesic. I ran their East Coast Azure infrastructure department for a while, a couple $1 million for that division. And I've recently just joined Trace3 out of Irvine, California, working from home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and just recently launched my new YouTube channel, Big Bald Azure Guy, trying to teach people how it is not as hard as a lot of people think to get into the cloud. A lot of people think, like, they hear the word cloud, oh, that's somebody else's servers. I'm like, no, you have to realize cloud is just simply a data center not at your location. You're accessing stuff remotely, you're doing RDP, you're doing SSH, you're doing Telnet, whatever you want to do. So I want to teach people to get into cloud. I want them to start with the fundamentals track, learn all the essentials they have to learn to get into the theory, into the practice, Linux, security, networking, subnetting, you name it. And I've actually been a career coach for a couple of years as well. I've got friends who were former police officers, former truck drivers who are now DevOps engineers after 6 to 12 months of hard work. And I've got a new class that just kicked off about 2-3 weeks ago, where I've got 12 people in, varying ranges from completely fresh and new to IT, some mid-level, and then some experts as well. And they want to just do a pivot in their career, say from VDI infrastructure to doing Azure or Amazon. I am the Big Bald Azure Guy, so I'm specialized in Amazon. I specialize in Azure. But over the next couple of years, with my new gig over at Trace3, they want us to be cloud agnostic. So I will be pursuing AWS. I will be pursuing GCP. I'm going to be hosting live study groups. For example, the new AZ100 cybersecurity architect exam. I'm having a 3 or 4 guy group on that one, which we're going to live stream every other week. It's just been a lot of fun, man. I just want people to realize that this isn't rocket science. All it takes is hard work, time management, negotiate with your family, loved ones, friends who you have pre-scheduled activities with, that you're going to be out of touch for a few weeks here or there as you study and ramp up for tests and skills. And I'm also trying to teach people the soft skills they need. A lot of people don't realize that I'm 44 now. When I was 16 years old, man, I was the quiet little fat kid in the corner, didn't say anything. I was really shy. And now it's like, yeah, who's this football looking dude who's gregarious and outgoing and doesn't shut up, So I want people to learn that they can have fun doing this. I want people to learn that presentation skills, interviewing skills are so important. What to do, what not to do, how to apply for the correct jobs. That's just kind of a summary of what I've been doing the past couple of years. And I've been very fortunate that the new company I hooked up with, Trace3, is actually supporting me in my personal brand, let alone their company brand. So it's been a great opportunity the past couple of weeks.
Awesome. That's great. You touched on really everything we're going to cover here in this interview. And you touched on this a little bit, but everyone pretty much nowadays knows, has heard the term cloud or cloud computing, but can you kind of break down a little bit more in detail? What is the cloud for those of those people out there who just don't know what it is?
Absolutely. Gone are the days, well, they're still there, but gone are the days of having everything in a colo site, a separate data center, either in your basement of your office building or the first or second floor, or even at a separate location where you rent space and you put all your hardware up. What you're now doing is you're leasing and you're only paying for what you consume at either one of and the big three. I mean, there are others out there like Cloudflare, but the big three are Azure, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, or Google. So what you're doing is you're actually renting their equipment, you're renting their hardware, their software, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, everything including things like Office 365, which has now been rebranded as Microsoft 365. You don't have to have an Exchange server or a cluster of Exchange servers in your office now. You let Microsoft manage all of that updates, all of the hardware and software compatibility issues and setting up the clusters and all that kind of stuff. Now you just worry about administration, migration, things like that. So the way to look at it is it's a data center. It's just simply located not on your site. And the really cool thing about this is you only pay for what you use.
That's really awesome. And really, you hit the nail on the head. What is the cloud? And, that leads me into one of my next questions. Is everything going to move to the cloud, or is there still going to be a need for some on-prem devices?
I think you're going to see more and more things move to the cloud. However, even Microsoft has hedged their bets. They have a brand new certification path out for the AZ800 and AZ801, new hybrid certification. It's the first Windows Server certification we've seen probably since 2013, memory serves, which is now Windows Server 2021. They're trying to focus on doing Azure Active Directory, AD Connect, to connect with your Active Directory on-prem with Azure Active Directory. I'm actually going to be teaching the AZ801 at a couple of the big guys here. I'll announce that in a few weeks in the official. But so I'm teaching the AZ801. I'll be teaching the SC400 for information protection for Microsoft 365 as well in the public space. So you guys will see that one. What's really cool is hybrid, I think, is here to stay. And especially when you're talking about big enterprises, the big fours that are out there, the Accentures, the Avanads, the big companies that are out there, the big financials, the big financial services companies. Now, but the nice thing about being in the cloud and not having to worry about being hybrid, small companies, mom and pop shops, small companies, mid-sized companies, there's no more operational expense on site. You don't need to have an overhead of having a server farm set up where you're at, of whether it's 1 rack or 50 racks. You can easily, my friend and I we did a startup a couple of years ago, and we had everything set up in 15 minutes. Gone are those days where you have to worry about setting up all of the networking, setting up all the users, making sure that your Active Directory cluster has a backup and the domain controllers. All that stuff is gone now. I mean, it's still there, but you don't deal with it. I mean, now, guys like me, we started off working in data centers. We started off working in NOCs, things like that. So having that experience is still key to being a successful cloud engineer, but you need to worry about managing that stuff every single day.
Absolutely. And, myself currently, I'm the director of network operations. I manage our NOC for a local internet service provider. And we are slowly moving some services to the cloud, but, there's still going to be, I feel, a need for on-prem, especially for like companies like ISPs. You have to have that physical hardware to get the internet to the home and businesses. So, my question next for you is, why did you pick Azure? There's 3 different cloud platforms out there. For those of you who don't know, there's AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. There's Azure, which is Microsoft, and then there's Google Cloud Platform. What made you go with Azure?
For me, it was a logical next step. I've been Microsoft certified since probably the mid 90s. I was a Microsoft guy through and through. I didn't know Linux at the time. And to me, it was like, oh, Microsoft is Microsoft. And what people don't realize now is the cloud is Linux. So it's even more important, even though you're a Microsoft guy, I recommend going out there and studying for Linux, taking your LPIC 1, your LPIC 2, or your Red Hat engineer certifications. You don't need it to get started, but if you want to be seen as an expert in your field, there's a basic progression you should take from 0 to 60 or 0 to hero, whatever you want to call it. And there's certain skills gaps you should do. I mean, for me, Microsoft was the next logical step. But like I said, if you want to be truly cloud agnostic, you should be able to work in whatever cloud there is out there. So there are some multiple cloud vendors like Aviatrix that deal with multiple cloud platforms. You can deal with Cloudflare, a couple other ones. INE is releasing a brand new certification path to become truly a cloud agnostic administrator. There's other ones out there. A lot of people who start off in Linux go to AWS. And also, too, it's where does your area of work or forte lie? If you're a Microsoft guy, Active Directory guy, you're going to stick with Azure. If you are a web services person, web app person, you'll probably go to AWS. If you like machine learning and artificial intelligence, you'll probably go to Google. Now, granted, all three of them have all of those things, but it's what they're known for. I mean, Google's been doing AI since before anybody else. And now, don't get me wrong, Azure Cognitive Services is making a very strong push. AWS has their things. Security seems to be a Microsoft area specialty right now. But Amazon's catching up because they've had a few acquisitions in the past 6 months that are looking really strong. So really, you can't go wrong with any of them. The key is just to take that first step and say, you know what, I want to get involved. I want to be a cloud guy or gal.
Well, I really hope all of you have a good understanding now about what is the cloud. In our next video, we're going to talk about how to start studying for the cloud, what certifications you should be studying for, and the different learning paths out there. Once that video drops, I'll make sure and put a link to it down in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions at all, make sure and put them in the comments. Until next time, take it easy.